Here's something nobody tells you when you open a savings account. The bank takes your money, lends it to someone else at 8% interest, then pays you back 0.5% and sends you a thank you letter. That's not a conspiracy. That's just the system working exactly as designed for them. Now, most people find this out eventually. They do the math. They stare at their savings balance after 12 months and realize the interest they earned could not cover a dinner for two. And at that point, they usually think one of those two things. Either I need to invest, or investing is scary and complicated and I'll think about it later. If you have thought either of those things, this video is for you. Because the gap between savings money and investing money is not a knowledge gap. It's not an income gap. It's a sequence gap. Nobody shows you the actual order of steps. So let's do that. First, why does this matter right now specifically? Inflation in the United States averaged around 3.8% in April 2026. The average high-yield savings account is paying somewhere around 3 to 4%, which sounds fine until you account for taxes on that interest and the creeping reality that rates have started coming down. Here's the quiet math most people miss. If inflation runs at 3% annually and your savings are 2% after tax, you're not breaking even. You're losing 1% of your purchasing power every single year, slowly and silently, while the number in your account goes up. That's the trap. Your balance grows, your wealth shrinks. Investing doesn't guarantee you beat that gap. Nothing does, but historically, over a long period, it has. The S&P 500, just the 500 largest American companies averaged together, has returned roughly 10% annually before inflation over the past century. After inflation, closer to 7. That's the number you're trying to get to. Not riches, not luck, just the basic act of putting your money to work instead of leaving it in a room where it very slowly evaporates. So how do you actually get there? What are the steps? Step 1 is the one nobody wants to do. Build a buffer first. Before you invest a single dollar, you need money you're not investing. Emergency savings, 3 to 6 months of essential expenses, rent, food, utilities, transportation, sitting in a high-yield savings account where you can actually reach it. This isn't timid advice, it's structural. Here's why. The single biggest mistake new investors make is not picking the wrong stock. It's being forced to sell at the wrong time. Markets go down, sometimes violently. If that happens and your car breaks down or you lose your job and you don't have liquid savings, you'll be forced to sell investments at a loss to cover the emergency. That's how people lose money in markets that eventually recovered. The buffer is not boring. The buffer is what lets everything else work. One practical move, put this buffer in a high-yield savings account, not a regular one. As of 2026, you can still find rates around 3.5 to 4% through online banks. You're not getting rich there, but you're not hemorrhaging purchasing power either, and the money is there when you need it. Step 2. Eliminate the right debt first. This one requires a small bit of nuance. Now, not all debt is the same. A mortgage at 6% interest is a fundamental different animal than a credit card at 24%. If you're carrying high interest debt, anything above 8, 9, 10%, paying that off is the best investments you can make because it's a guaranteed return equal to the interest rate. Think about it. Paying off a 20% credit card is a guaranteed 20% return. No stock offers that. No index fund promises that. Nothing in finance comes with a guarantee except eliminating debt that costs you money every single month. Low interest debt, student loans below 5%, a fixed mortgage, that's a different calculation. It may actually make mathematical sense to invest instead of aggressively overpaying those. History suggests a diversified portfolio can outperform a 4% loan over time. But this is where people overthink it. If high interest debt is present, the math is clear. Kill it, then invest. Step 3. You start with accounts before you start with assets. This is where most investing education goes off the rails. People immediately ask, what should I buy? What's the hot stock? What is everyone on Reddit talking about? The better question is, where should I put it first? Because the account structure determines how much of your return you actually keep. In the United States, a 401k through your employer allows you to invest pre-tax dollars. If your employer matches contribution, say 50 cents for every dollar up to 6% of your salary, that's an immediate 50% return on that portion of your money before you have bought a single share of anything. That is the closest thing to free money that exists in personal finance. Use it. After that, a Roth IRA. You contribute post-tax dollars, but your investments grow completely tax-free. All the gains, all the dividends, tax-free when you withdraw into retirement. The 2026 contribution limit is $7,500 per year or $8,600 if you're over 50. These accounts don't charge what you invest in. They change how much of what you earn you actually keep. That gap compounds over decades into something enormous. Only after you have maximized tax advantage accounts does a regular taxable brokerage account make sense as a priority. Step 4. Choose what you invest in. And here's where we need to have an honest conversation. The financial media will make this sound complicated. It isn't. For most people, most of the time, the answer is a low-cost index fund, a product that simply holds a basket of stocks mirroring a broad market index. You buy the whole market, all of it. You don't pick winners. You stop trying to be smarter than the market and instead just own it. Warren Buffett, arguably the most successful investor alive, has told the trustees of his estate to put 90% of his money into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund when he's gone. That's not humility. That's math. Most actively managed funds, the ones run by professionals whose entire job is to beat the market, fail to outperform a simple index fund over a 15-year horizon. Depending on the study, the number is somewhere between 80 and 92% failed to beat the index net of fees. So you're paying more for worse outcomes. That's the hype versus reality gap in a single sentence. It starts simple. A broad market index fund, low expense ratio under 0.2% annually. Buy consistently over time regardless of what the market is doing. That's it. Now here's where the stakes get uncomfortable. Time is not just a factor in investing, it is the factor. Someone who invests $200 a month is starting at 22 and stops at 32, only 10 years of contributions ends up with more money at 65 than someone who starts at 32 and invests $200 every month until they retire. Same $200 a month, 30 years of contributions versus 10, but the person who started early wins. That's not a motivational speech. This compound interest applied to time. The math genuinely does not care about your feelings about it. The risk isn't picking the wrong stock. It isn't a market crash. Both of those can be recovered from with time and boring diversified strategy. The actual risk is delay. Every year you leave money in a savings account out of inertia, caution, or confusion is a year of compounding you cannot get back. Markets go up and down. Time only goes one direction. And here's what nobody says out loud. The financial industry doesn't particularly benefit from you doing things simply and early. Complexity sells products. Urgency sells trades. Fear sells advice. A boring index fund you hold for 40 years generates almost no revenue for anyone except you. So here's the sequence stripped down. Buffer first, kill expensive debt, use tax advantage accounts, buy simple low-cost diversified assets, hold them without panic for decades. That's it. That's the entire path. It doesn't require a financial advisor. It doesn't require a sophisticated understanding of markets. It doesn't require perfect timing. What it requires is starting. And maybe that's the question worth sitting with. Not how to invest, not what to buy, but why, knowing all of this, most people still don't. What is it about the gap between knowing and doing that's so hard to cross? Because the math is the easy part. It always has been. I hope this video is helpful. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. And please don't forget to share and subscribe. I'll see you in my next one.